And you know, when Jefferson and Adams ran against each other in 1800, the Adams guys, John Adams guys, had to figure out how they were going to go negative on the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence. And they decided to get guys up on horses and run around the early states screaming at the top of their lungs, Jefferson is dead, Jefferson's dead. And you know, if you were in Delaware and you hadn't seen Jefferson for a couple of months, and the last time you did, he wasn't looking too good, you became convinced Jefferson was dead. So that made Jefferson get his guys up on horses and send them into the state screaming, Jefferson lives. Jefferson lives. And the problem is they didn't have proof of life pictures of him with the New York Times, you know, with today's date, to prove this to people. So how did they know who to trust? And it was pretty simple. Did you know the guy on the horse? Because if you knew the guy on the horse and you didn't know the other guy, then you believed him. Now, he could get away with one lie, because like the Huffington Post or something could be wrong. You know, the guy could be wrong one time, and people would say, the next time he rides in the town, I'm not listening to him, I don't trust him. Well, what's happening is they don't trust anything from the top right now. I don't know how that's going to get repaired, but that's not happening. They trust their friends. They trust the people on the horse who they know, who say, hey, I had a great experience with Davis, or I had a horrible experience with Davis. And if you get 5 of your friends telling you they had a horrible experience with Davis, you're going to try Hertz. Now, is Hertz's, at that point, what their advertising is saying, what happens when you go to the website, what happens when friends of mine touch Hertz, and now I say Hertz is good? That's all in that social network in the notes. It's not that what we do isn't important, it's just how we influence that person and how at every point of touch on their mobile device, you know, it all becomes extremely important when the word of mouth and who you trust is localized to your social network. And that's where it's going.
But let's talk about something. This is
For the
very,
most part.
the brand steward traditionally has been the chief marketing officer. Chief marketing officer, you know, average tenure, we all know this now, is somewhere, you know, 18 months, 20 months. The assignment now, I mean, I think the average tenure is going to be about what, 2 months? I mean, this is mind-boggling what a chief marketing officer today has to understand and how to manage. So if you think about the implications of what we've said about a radically altered world order for brands, stewardship of brands, management of brand image, what does this mean to a CMO? What does it mean to the structure inside a marketing department? What does it mean for the advertising agency world?
Oh, I'd say one of my general themes to people about the expansion of connectivity is the swirling amount of data in their lives. And I think the next generation of people in any function, and marketing is one of the early examples, of people that have to be really numerate, and have to really be able to inhale data and draw conclusions quickly. And I think that used to be true in a very narrow sense for ad buyers maybe, or planners. And I think now any marketer has to be much more conversant with masses of data.
I think that is the interesting thing to watch right now with brands and companies. And I think we're still trying to figure out how to reorganize what used to be a very top-down, broadcast-oriented communications structure. You got you know, the CMO, and you're going to push out these press releases, and you're going to have this event, and do da 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 da. It doesn't work like that anymore. And so I think that's the interesting. We spend as much time today, almost like management consultants with clients, helping them to understand, okay, what does this mean for how they're organized?
Absolutely.
You know, and how they. I have a client where the CEO used to approve every press release, but he can't. Yeah. that type of hierarchical structure is just not gonna work, in a social media environment.
You do need to understand, I mean, one answer to the question about what happens to chief marketing officers is if there aren't really that many big companies left, then maybe we don't have to worry about it. So that might be one response, but perhaps not the only one. But you seem to like that, Nico, that works for you. Right.
Yeah, I mean, the conundrum you posed about how does the CMO manage this, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, go work at a smaller company.
Well, no, but the thing that I think is that, Carlo used to say it's the economy soup, but it's not the economy soup, it's the network soup. And the network's getting bigger and more connected every day. And if you think about that for a second, and you also think, just put it all in political terms, in 2004, at the end of the Dean campaign, there were 1.4 million blogs in the world. At the beginning of the Obama campaign, there were 77 million blogs. YouTube doesn't exist at the end of the Dean campaign. By the time Obama starts, it's got 100 million views a month or something like that. Facebook is a gleam in the eye on two college campuses at the end of the Dean campaign. Today, millions and millions of people connected there. Twitter didn't exist, whether it's important or not, doesn't matter, it didn't even exist at the end of the Dean campaign. It didn't exist at the beginning of the Obama campaign. But you start seeing all those tools and just how embedded they became in just 3 years. We're talking from 2014.
Embedded in our social lives, in the fabric of our lives. The question is,
but how much they change.
what does this do from an industrial standpoint to the industry of communication?
My point was how much they changed political communication is obvious to everybody.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is because that's obvious to everybody, the next thing should be obvious to everybody too. You have to be up on all that stuff as a communicator in business. The problem is, just like I said, it changed so dramatically. If you had asked me at the end of the Dean campaign, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, I was told you're crazy. I mean, I was, helped start the damn thing. So what I'm trying to say is, so now think if you're a CMO and you've got to even trying to predict where mobile will be 4 years from now is like impossible. And I mean, if we're talking experts, really know. Yeah, no.
Read the book.
No, but I don't mean that as anybody. I'm just saying it's
That's a
very
full-time
tough to
job.
figure out, and you're doing it all the time.
Right.
So if you're a CMO, how do you stay on top of that? I was only kind of joking when I said get a 22-year-old mentor in the marketing.
Oh, no, there are actually many
Yeah, yeah.
organizations, and it's called reverse mentoring.
Well, there's a larger technology impact on organizational structure coming, I believe, and that is the dissolution of the centralized IT organization.
yes,
Because
yeah.
that's just gonna go away, right? We're not gonna run our own data centers, that's all going to be outsourced. It's like when we used to have our generation systems, right, in the 19th century. When that goes away, there's no central repository for technology, then that supports the diffusion of messaging using the network throughout the organization.
An interesting example of how social media started in one place and sort of back-ended into customer service, I think, is Blue Shirt Nation. Where actually Best Buy, as I understand it, I'm not, they're not a client, I'm there, but as I understand it, they started a network that was designed primarily for employees. It was primarily an internal communications community, and eventually morphed into a place where anybody could go and ask someone online from Blue Shirt Nation questions about products and services, and became a very effective customer service.
Thank you to all of you who